Breaking news, the mayor just announced that the city will no longer issue vouchers to migrants to pay for food, ending a controversial program that had repeatedly come under attack by conservatives and others.
This pilot program in New York City, drenched in both humanity and controversy, distributed debit cards to migrant families staying in city-funded hotels and allowing them to buy their own food.
After sunrise, we saw the first group of migrants make their way from Mexico through a gap between the 30-foot steel border fence and rocks, ducking under a bit of razor wire and into the United States.
Colorado, there's a Venezuelan gang that has taken over 2 apartment buildings.
We were surprised to see the number of people coming through from China, nearly 7,000 miles away. Careful, watch. Our cameras, and at one point, this armed Border Patrol agent standing 25 feet away, did not deter them.
So, how old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
This man, a college graduate, told us he hoped to find work in Los Angeles. He said his trip from China took 40 days.
What countries did you go through?
Thailand, Morocco, Ecuador, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica.
Talking to people about what's going on here in this hotel. Do you have any idea what's going on here?
No.
So this is where they're actually putting them after they come in to the border.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, so I just talked to a guy, he's been living there for 7 months, 3 meals a day, and it's completely free.
I think a lot of New Yorkers wish they had it like that, you know?
Yeah.
Police are trying to tackle the rapidly escalating violent crime among Venezuelan gang members in the city who have gotten into New York.
Fox 8's Linda Schmidt talked to the NYPD, who says this crime wave is one of their greatest challenges. She joins us live in the newsroom now. Linda, what can you tell us tonight?
Well, you know, basically what you just said right there, this is one of the NYPD's biggest challenges right now. Now, the NYPD expects the migrant Venezuelan gang crimes to actually get worse in this city before it gets better.
They're waving the guns around.
Correct.
Waving guns and flashing gang signs on
And this
video.
Venezuelan gang has taken over the apartment building. They're charging the tenants inside rent money like they're the landlords. Meanwhile, the real landlord can't get these people evicted. All the people that's leaving the apartment buildings, as soon as they leave, these Venezuelan gang members are just moving in more gang members to a point where they are taking over the building with guns.
Which has been infiltrating the U.S. for the last 2 years. NYPD Assistant Chief of Detectives Jason Savino telling me.
Welcome back to Nomadically Speaking. Today we're tackling the ongoing migrant crisis in the U.S., a topic that's as critical as it is controversial. But before we dive in, I wanted to remind us of something important. If you're born in the U.S., you already started life with an advantage that many people can only dream of. Access to education, safety, freedom of expression, and opportunity. All of those are easy to take for granted. Fact is, most of us don't even have to flee violence or endure unimaginable poverty just to survive. That's a blessing we often forget, especially when we hear about migrants risking everything to come here. So let's keep that in perspective as we unpack this crisis.
New Yorkers are angry. I am angry too.
No, migration isn't random. It's driven by life and death decisions. Economic hardship is one of the primary drivers behind migration to the United States. In many countries, high unemployment rates and widespread poverty leave individuals and families with little to no opportunity to build a stable future.
You have not asked for this.
For many, the inability to secure basic necessities such as food, housing, and health care pushes them to seek better perspectives elsewhere. The U.S., with its relatively strong economy and higher wages, becomes a beacon of hope for those looking to escape financial instability and create opportunities for themselves and their families. The decision to migrate is often a matter of survival rather than choice. In some cases, entire communities are left with no viable industries or jobs due to economic downturns, corruption, or political instability.
Looking to move to the U.S. and find a great job? Here are the top jobs for immigrants. Number 1, construction.
Migrants are often motivated by the promise of a more stable environment where they can work, support their loved ones back home, and provide for their children with access to education and resources they could never afford otherwise. Now, while the journey to the U.S. is fraught with challenges, Many believe that the chance to work and thrive outweighs the risk of staying in their home countries where economic prospects are often bleak.
2. Agriculture. 73% of farm jobs are filled by immigrants. It's critical work for our
Nations like Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador face severe challenges stemming from pervasive gang violence and political instability, which have deeply impacted daily life and national development. Criminal organizations such as MS-13 and Barrio 18 wield immense power in these countries, controlling neighborhoods, extorting businesses, and instilling fear among citizens. This violence has created an environment of insecurity where individuals often face threats to their lives for refusing to comply with the gang demands or simply living in contested areas. Now, for many, the inability to escape this cycle of violence leaves little choice but to flee their homes in search of safety and stability elsewhere. Adding to that turmoil is the political instability, often marked by corruption, weak governance, and contested elections. Now, in these nations, government institutions frequently fail to provide basic services, enforce the rule of law, or protect citizens from criminal elements. Economic mismanagement and widespread poverty further exacerbate these conditions, leaving populations vulnerable to exploitation and despair. Now, together, these factors create a powerful push for migration as individuals and families seek opportunities for survival and security outside their borders. The combination of gang violence and political instability has turned these countries into epicenters of a humanitarian crisis, driving thousands to make perilous journeys in search of a better future. Now, in many parts of the world, speaking out against government is not only discouraged, but can carry severe consequences, including imprisonment, harassment, or even death. In countries with strict authoritarian regimes such as China, dissent is often met with swift and harsh reprisals. Citizens who openly criticize policies, challenge state narratives, or advocate for democratic reforms risk being detained under broad charges like subversion or endangering national security. Activists, journalists, and ordinary citizens alike have been targeted for their voices, their social media posts, or even private conversations. This atmosphere of fear forces many to remain silent even in the face of justice, as the cost of resistance is often unbearably high. Like I said, in China specifically, the government exerts tight control over the flow of information and public discourse. Now, we're talking about advanced surveillance systems, including facial recognition, technology, and online monitoring, make it nearly impossible for citizens to engage in dissent unnoticed. The state's grip extends to platforms like WeChat and Weibo, where censorship and propaganda dominate. High-profile cases such as those of human rights lawyers or activists advocating for Hong Kong's independence serve as stark warnings to others. Now, for many, the choice to remain silent isn't just about self-preservation, but also about protecting their families, who could also face retaliation. In such an environment, the mere act of speaking out becomes an extraordinary act of courage, one that carries profound personal and societal risks. For many, the U.S. represents a chance to start over, but as we'll see, the chance comes with enormous challenges for them and for us. So let's talk about what's happening right now. President-elect Donald Trump has announced plans to significantly tighten the U.S. immigration policies. Some of his key points include mass deportation. Now, this is modeled after the controversial 1954 program known as Operation. This plan would involve the rapid removal of undocumented immigrants through expedited processes, bypassing traditional legal safeguards that ensure due process. Central to the strategy would be close collaboration between federal immigration agencies and local law enforcement, effectively deputizing police officers and sheriffs to enforce immigration laws. The initiative draws on historical precedents of mass deportation, aiming to target millions of individuals and implement swift actions to remove them from the country. Critics, however, have raised concerns about the ethical implications, the potential for racial profiling, and the strain this approach could place on the local resources and community trust. Proponents argue that such measures are necessary to address illegal immigrants at scale, but the plan is likely to face legal challenges and significant public scrutiny. Let's talk about border security enhancements. The United States is resuming construction on the border wall as part of a broader strategy to enhance national security and deter unauthorized crossings. This initiative includes not only the physical expansion of the wall, but also the deployment of military assets to support border enforcement efforts. By utilizing advanced surveillance technology, increased patrols, and infrastructure improvements, the goal is to create a more secure and efficient border management system. Proponents argue that these measures will significantly reduce illegal immigration, drug trafficking, and human smuggling, while critics highlight concerns about costs, humanitarian impacts, and potential harm to the U.S.-Mexico relations. The plan reflects a renewed focus on border security as a critical component of immigration policy. Let's talk about policy reinstatements. This basically will reintroduce travel bans, the Remain in Mexico policy, and stricter asylum regulations. As far as legal immigration adjustments, they are proposing to end birthright citizenship and reevaluate temporary protected status.
So y'all, these migrants are getting worse, and a lot of the media is not covering it. A 19-year-old Venezuelan migrant just literally shot 2 police officers in New York City, NYPD, at point blank. He shot them at point blank range. Now, they have him in custody and he's being charged. But what they are saying is that he basically is stating that a gang is instructing him to shoot at cops. Now, we know what has happened in Aurora, Colorado. If y'all don't know, it's not even happening in just Aurora. Now it's transferring to even Denver, Colorado. What is happening is there are squatter laws in Colorado. And what squatter laws are, the fact that they even still exist in Colorado and it is legal, it blows my mind. The apartment building in Colorado was actually condemned because of the code violations. Now, what tenants was saying is that they were threatening the management or the people that was over the building and not allowing staff to come into the building to like fix it up and things of that nature. Sanctuary city. So Colorado is a sanctuary city, and what that does is it limits. I don't know how much of it is true, but I heard that they were waiting for the older tenants to move out, and then they would move in other tenants and will be taking the money and rent from those tenants. Now, also in Denver, I'm hearing that they broke into many gun stores, and they are trying to do the same thing in Denver. Not only that, we have to be mindful of who we let all of those younger age men come over to the border. We did not lock the border down. And I remember doing a video talking about the border. And here's what I'm saying. I don't have a problem with immigrants coming over here, especially when they have dealt with the things that they deal with in their different countries, giving them an opportunity. That's not the point. But the proper thing to do is literally making sure we are coming over their background. Without proper management, this makes no sense. And when I talked about it last time, a lot of people was in my comments trying to come for me. But look, now y'all see what is happening. And then the media is not even reporting or even trying to talk about this. They're trying to push this under the rug. But not only that, the resources that our country is spending on these migrants that have came over, we already know with the EBT and how they have been supportive to these migrants who have came over into our country blows my mind in itself. That's a whole nother video, a whole nother conversation. Don't nobody want to talk about this stuff unless it's on your own doorstep. Oh yeah, let them come over, do this. They benefit, But when it's on your own doorstep, then you gonna have a problem with it. It has been said that these Venezuelan gangs are getting worser. I've even been hearing that there is an apartment building also in Dallas, Texas, Something similar to what has happened in Aurora, Colorado is happening with these Venezuelan gangs. I went to try to research it and look. I didn't find anything, but I think the name is called Versailles or something like that, apartments. But if anybody is in Dallas, Texas, you know about this, please let me know, because I'm on the heels of this, okay? Even with the DNC that is coming up in Chicago, which is like a neighboring city to me, I believe that they will be also kicked up during this coming week, because we know that there are also Venezuelan gangs and things of that nature in the Chicago area as well. Some time ago, I got on this app and I said that the Holy Spirit had led me to tell people, begin to learn to pray all throughout your day, covering your cars, covering your children, covering your homes. I literally said that, covering your doorsteps, covering every area, your jobs, covering yourself in prayer. We know that prayer is a spiritual transaction. So going before the Lord and covering yourself in the blood of Jesus, in everything, your cars and everything you can think of, covering yourself in the blood of Jesus in prayer, because the times that we're living in is unprecedented. We're going to see a lot more unprecedented things that will be taking place in this country. One thing for sure, they not gonna be able to go into the hoods of Chicago and do this, because if you remember Cabrini Green, Venezuelan gangs ain't got nothing on the Cabrini Green, okay? Go research Cabrini Green. It'll tell you everything you need to know. And that's how you know they are targeting certain areas, because in certain areas, you're not going to be able to pull this taking over apartment building. You ain't going to be able to do that crap, not in Chi-Town. Have you heard of Chi-Town? It ain't Chicago no more. It's called the Chi-Town, okay? The Venezuelans, people, they about to get a run for their money messing with the Chi, okay? I'm trying to tell y'all. Anyway, y'all stay prayed up, because the times that we are living in is unprecedented, and you have to cover your homes, cover your areas, be wise, get you a pum-pum. I'm going to leave that alone. Some of the saints going to be mad at me, but I believe in a pum-pum. I believe in a pum-pum.
If I told you this was happening in 2024, would you believe me? Let me tell you how crazy this is. In Aurora, Colorado, there's a Venezuelan gang that has taken over 2 apartment buildings. I kid you not. The landowner has contacted the local authorities. They said there's nothing they can do about it. That's squatter laws, bro. I kid you not. Look this up. Number 2, he went to the FBI. They said there's nothing they can do. And he even went to the marshals, y'all. And this Venezuelan gang has taken over the apartment building. They're charging the tenants inside rent money like they're the landlords. Meanwhile, the real landlord can't get these people evicted. All the people that's leaving the apartment buildings, as soon as they leave, these Venezuelan gang members are just moving in more gang members to a point where they are taking over the building with guns. It's no more security there. Like, look this up right now. And this is exactly what I was talking about like 2 weeks ago. Oh, not even 2 weeks ago, on a couple of my videos. This is what they want. Attack within. Y'all better stay safe. Y'all better stay safe. This is what they want. For the country to be attacked from within. Black people versus the brown people. Let them fight it out. You see what I'm saying? Y'all better stay safe. It's getting crazy out here. Because it's going to get to a point where this is going to start affecting you. You may not live in Aurora, Colorado, but the fact that it's happening, man, this is crazy. Y'all better stay safe. Man, I've been seeing videos about the same Venezuelan people be in the stores looking to kidnap people and child trafficking. It's going to shambles. And y'all telling me Trump ain't needed? And y'all telling me Trump ain't needed? Come on now. Go look this shit, bro. They're literally securing the area with guns. They're not even, like, it's crazy. It's getting crazy. Stay prepared. TTG. Time to go.
The United States is exploring a multifaceted approach to managing migration, which includes negotiating stricter migration control measures with Mexico and leveraging economic tools like tariffs. By collaborating with Mexico, the goal is to establish more robust mechanisms to reduce the flow of migrants across the southern border, potentially through enhanced enforcement and shared responsibility for processing asylum seekers. Additionally, imposing tariffs on Mexico and Canada goods is being considered as an economic incentive for these countries to cooperate more actively in addressing migration challenges. Now, while such measures aim to strengthen border security and curb unauthorized entry, they also raise concerns about potential economic repercussions, particularly for industries and consumers reliant on trade with the North American region.
This responsibility was simply handed to us without warning.
Balancing these strategies with diplomatic relations and the economic interdependence of these nations will be critical to achieving sustainable results. These measures are controversial and have sparked concerns about humanitarian impacts, legal challenges, and economic fallout.
Handed to us without warning as buses began showing up. There's no playbook for this.
You know, in cities like New York, this impact is staggering. So let's break it down. New York City's shelter system is currently accommodating over 61,000 individuals, creating severe overcrowding and forcing the city to implement emergency measures to manage the crisis. Now, this influx of migrants has stretched resources thin, leaving shelters overwhelmed and struggling to meet basic needs such as food, hygiene, and medical care. In response, the city has declared a state of emergency, imposed curfews in some shelters, and sought additional federal and state support to address the escalating challenges. With limited space and funding, city officials are grappling with balancing humanitarian obligations with logistical realities, underscoring the urgent need for sustainable solutions to this growing issue. In response to the growing strain on the shelter resources due to this ongoing migrant crisis, New York City has implemented an 11 p.m. curfew at select shelters. This measure is aimed at better managing overcrowding, ensuring safety, and optimizing the use of available resources as the city grapples with accommodating a record number of migrants. Officials believe that the curfew will help streamline operations within shelters, allowing staff to maintain order and provide essential services more effectively. While this decision has sparked mixed reactions, with some advocating for stricter management and others raising concerns about its potential impact on vulnerable populations, it underscores the mounting challenges faced by a system stretched to its limits. This curfew reflects the city's efforts to balance the urgent needs of shelter residents within the logistical constraints of a humanitarian crisis. The ongoing migrant crisis is projected to cost New York City an estimated $12 billion over the next 3 years. Now, this is something that really, was alarming when I found this out. But the ongoing migrant crisis is projected to cost New York City an estimated $12 billion over the next 3 years, placing immense strain on the city's already stretched financial resources. This significant expenditure is impacting the budget of other critical services, including education, healthcare, housing, and public safety, which are essential to the well-being of New York residents. Now, as the city struggles to manage the influx of nearly 100,000 migrants, officials are facing tough decisions about how to allocate resources without compromising the quality of services for both the new arrivals and long-standing communities. The financial pressure has sparked debates among policymakers, with calls for increased federal aid and more sustainable solutions to address the humanitarian and logistical challenges of this unprecedented crisis.
I said, you have to admit that some of these people are here to have better lives. He goes, yeah, a percentage of them. I said, give me the percentage that you think, as a proud Latin American person from El Salvador who's moved here, who's come here legally, give me your perspective. He goes, 20% are coming to have a better life. 20% are coming to escape what they're escaping. 80% of them?
With incidents like unregulated food vending and migrant-related altercations, now as this goes on, as you can imagine, there's a lot of community concerns here. And, while the city of New York struggles, it's important to recognize the resilience of migrants who come here with hope and the responsibility we have as a country blessed with the resources to address these challenges compassionately. Here are a few potential solutions that have been brought up. One of them being federal policy overhaul, which would be a comprehensive immigration reform, increase funding for cities, and streamline asylum processes that could alleviate pressure. Another one is international collaboration. By having bilateral agreements and humanitarian aid to address root causes like poverty and violence, we could aid and provide a solution to this migrant crisis. Another one that was recommended is a smart border system. So with AI emerging the way it is, we could leverage AI and surveillance to enhance the border security with less physical disruption. Another option is localized solutions. So expanding work permits, education programs, and community support for migrants could be a more localized solution. Another solution would be public campaigns to foster understanding and reduce the fear-based narratives. So this would help with addressing some of the misinformation. And then we got the last possible and potential option, which would be investing in economic stability and climate change mitigation in migrant sending countries. So it's basically you would be tackling the root causes of the situation as opposed to responding after the migrants have already gotten to the U.S. At the end of the day, success definitely means having secure borders without sacrificing human rights, treating migrants with dignity, and supporting overwhelmed communities. I've enjoyed just kind of getting to the understanding of what's going on. We've been watching a lot of clips online, and this has been going around. So I thought it would be a great opportunity for my channel to kind of give you guys some updates and a maybe concise explanation of what's happening. At the end of the day, the U.S. migrant crisis is far more complex than a simple border issue. It's a multifaceted challenge that intertwines humanitarian, economic, and political concerns. Every year, thousands of people flee dire situations such as violence, poverty, and political instability, seeking safety and opportunity in the United States. Now, as Americans, it's essential to recognize the privilege many of us enjoy and consider how we can use it to contribute to fair, just, and compassionate solutions. This isn't just about enforcing borders, it's about addressing the root cause of migration and ensuring that those seeking refuge are treated with dignity. Now, the big question is, are the solutions currently on the table enough, or do we need to rethink our entire approach so we focus more on international collaboration, stronger policies at the border, or perhaps greater investment in the countries migrants are fleeing from? These are questions that require open, honest dialogue from all of us. What do you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and let's discuss ways we can all contribute to meaningful change. Look, if you're interested in digging deeper into this topic, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a story that matters on this channel. Until next time, nomads, stay informed, stay compassionate, and keep questioning the world around you.